Hi, my name's Dean. First of all, I just wanted to say what you're doing is fantastic. You are basically doing minimal anaesthesia, analgesia, hysteroscopy. And I also want to say is I don't want everything to be done under GA. I'm glad that you actually still leave that as an option, but my beef is not that it should all be done under GA. My beef is that in the UK, hysteroscopy is often done. Women are often denied a cervical block. Women are not asked pain scores. They are ignored when they're in obvious pain and distress. They're sometimes ignored when they're screaming or vomiting or fainting. And I can tag you, several, well, I say several, pretty much close to hundreds of examples of women being basically assaulted and tortured. And this is quite common. A campaign which I'm not part of, but there's an advocacy group, Campaign Against Painful Hysteroscopy, and they got 1,500 very bad testimonies of poor treatment, and that was just from a few Facebook ads. So if this was done nationally, the results would be very poor. And also the BSGE reports 5.2 of an average mean pain score, which means, well, 5.2 doesn't sound particularly bad. However, that's an average, which means that women experience far more. Basically, in the UK, we don't, as a rule, other than a few handful of clinics, we don't stop at inappropriate pain levels. And when you say this is done in outpatient, if it's done with sedation, then it's not done in outpatient. If you may not do it in theatre, but people see the experts and think they can do it or as good, and you quickly glance over analgesia, anaesthesia. Please don't. You need to go in depth in this and make it obvious to UK gynecologists and hysteroscopy nurses they are not doing the same thing. There's a website called Care Opinion, and people leave positive, medium or negative stories on of their experiences at hospitals. I can think of one hospital, one person, there's several stories, but one recently said, I'm in Portugal now, but I was physically held down while they continued finish the procedure off, even though she was under gritted teeth saying to stop. Yet that hysteroscopy nurse, well, like a world-renowned, not you, but a world-renowned gynecologist who only gets 5% failure rate, and he stops at a number 5 VAS score. Yet he thinks she's doing the same thing, that she is on the same level when she is not. We have one of the biggest gripes the campaign has is, and I tend to agree with them, is that it's paracetamol or a general anaesthetic. There's nothing in between. So some women have a GA that actually don't want a GA, but they don't want to try it with paracetamol. And quite often women have it with paracetamol because they don't want a GA, because there's nothing offered in between. Also, I have major concerns about companies like Hologic, Medtronic, and even Olympus, although I've had some good rapport with them, advising not to use analgesia. They keep saying there's no need for a cervical block with 5.5mm devices. Well, I know a hysteroscopy nurse in this country, she said she would only do it without if a woman had given natural birth several times. Yet they're advising there's no need. There's also saying there's no need with even diagnostic. It doesn't matter if it's 1.9, if they've had a leak bleeds or a cone biopsy or not given birth naturally, they should have that as an option. If they want to have a cervical block, it's their choice. However, many are told. One I know hospital was told there isn't needles long enough, so she was specifically lied to. I know some say we don't do it that way, and one story on Care Opinion said, "Will you trust my professional opinion? You don't need it." And she was postmenopausal, and there was cervical stenosis, and she had a horrendous time. Yet she might have found it acceptable if she'd had a cervical block. So please, what I'm asking is that I don't expect you to fight the fight for us, but please, I'm begging you, make it clear that what we do in the UK is not what you do. Nowhere near. Oddly enough, the poor stories to good stories were before a recent hospital flooded the page with good stories. We used to have two bad stories to two good experiences to one bad experience, which is oddly enough, a study done in Canada found that a third found it painful, which ties in. So if a woman wants to try this with no anaesthesia, that's fine, but in the UK, we are not giving informed consent. They are not telling women of the real possibility of severe pain, and are not giving options. Some do offer GA, but they either exaggerate the risk, or one leaflet in Kent said that basically you're wasted NHS resources, you're a bad person if you have a GA, instead of actually giving informed consent. So please, I hope that explains why when you post stuff I'm on top of it, because what you do is not what we do in the UK. Thank you, bye.